Good morning, Cameroon. Good morning, world. How are you doing? Hope you had a restful night. Well, for me, I had a wonderful night. Welcome on board Salve Vicinus this beautiful morning. It is Wednesday, the 18th of June, 2025. We are 12 days to go, 12 days counting to end the month of June, and of course the 6th month of the year. What are you doing? How far has the month been with you so far? Hopefully you're making great strides as we're running up the month of June. Welcome to Salve Vicinus. It is your morning wake-up show that brings to you lots of inspiration, education, entertainment, and of course all of that is done in a single file. We inspire you, we educate you, we inform you, and we entertain you. Talking about that, we shall be having our fleet of presenters here who will be thrilling us, giving us nothing short of the best in their different segments. We'll have Reverend Father Jean-Lambert Bartamac who will be here to treat us to a reflection of the day. He will inspire us and appeal to our consciences to have the best of the day. We'll also have Sister Florence Awambeng. She will be here to treat us to the saint of the day. She'll definitely be telling us which saint we are celebrating today and what we can emulate from their lifestyle. We'll also be joined by Magdalene Wondo, who will inform us on some of the very important events as captured by DMR TV here on Salve Vicinus. And then Eileen Sama will also be here to treat us to what the papers are saying this morning. John Philip Wandler will treat us to sports. And then we'll have Nadesh Mehu who will treat us to health and beauty. She'll tell us something on health today. And then we'll also be having Kenjaman Long Valentine, who will crown it all with our PG news. All of that will be done in a single file here on Salve Vicinus. You don't have any reason to touch your dial because a lot is in store for you. Please know that we're going to punctuate all of these beautiful segments with beautiful music, lots of good music, so you don't have any reason to touch your dial. Now, today is the International Day to Counter Hate Speech. Hate speech is the the wrongful use of language, verbal expression that seem to promote racism, or it seems to abuse the race of people. It seems to create create situations that are not favorable, be it culture, be it just maybe where somebody comes from or somebody looks, and all of that. We will now see the international community fighting to counter hate speech, and together we can join and put a stop to that. So today in the program we're going to be talking a little about that. We'll listen to what the United Nations has to say about countering hate speech. Dear viewers, a lot is in this program. You don't have a reason to touch your dial. My name is Yannick Fonke, and I'm very honored to be your very important host this morning. I urge you, I'm going to ride with you without any turbulence on our plane today. Together with Guan Kindness, who is manning the broadcasting and transmission, you are sure that the program is going to be a success. Welcome on board once again. We kickstart the program with a beautiful piece of music. A beautiful piece of music that will inspire us to our very first Lord of the day, which of course is our reflection. Please don't touch your dial. Let us enjoy this music. We'll be back. What a beautiful piece of music. What a way to start the program this morning in such a hot style. Thank you very much, Kindness. And with that, we introduce our first Lord of the day, which is our reflection page. Reverend Father Jean-Lambert Bartamac is present here to treat us to our reflection of this morning. He's in our makeshift studio, makeshift pulpit this morning to trail us to our reflection page. So let us be mindful, let us be very pious as we listen to our reflection of this morning.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Good morning, televiewers of DMR TV, and welcome to our daily reflection. Today is Wednesday, the 18th of June, 2025, and we shall be reflecting on our gospel passage. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. At that time, Jesus said to his disciples, "Beware of practicing your piety before men in order to be seen by them. For then you will have no reward from your Father who is in heaven. Thus, whenever you give alms, do not trumpet before you, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may be praised by men. Truly I say to you, they have had their reward. But when you give alms, Do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your Father may be in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you. And when you pray, you must not be like the hypocrites, for they love to stand and pray in the synagogues and at the street corners, that they may be seen by men. Truly I say to you, they have had their reward. But when you pray, go into your room and shut the door, and pray to your Father who is in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you. And when you fast, do not look dismal like the hypocrites, for they disfigure their faces, that their fasting may be seen by men. Truly I say to you, they have had their reward. But when you fast, anoint your head and wash your face, that your fasting may not be seen by men, but by your Father who is in secret. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. My dear brothers and sisters, there is a desire in each and every one of us to be appreciated, to be honored, admired. And who doesn't enjoy being admired, being honored or appreciated by others? What we are talking about here today is Jesus is talking about the great marks of piety: prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. And he doesn't tell us that if you pray, but when you pray. And the reason why he is saying when you pray, when you fast, when you give alms, these are things that we are encouraged to do at all times, not just during the season of Lent. Season of Lent is a period when we are supposed to heighten these practices. But on a day-to-day basis, we are called to do all of this. And so when you pray, does it mean we shouldn't pray in public? No. Does it mean we shouldn't give alms to people? No. Does it mean we shouldn't fast? Maybe our fasting will inspire and encourage other people. But what Jesus is saying here is, what is the motive behind it? Are you trying to prove yourself, or you are trying to let God shine and let other people know that God is at work in you? There are many persons today who give alms, but then the only time they will do this act of charity, maybe to beggars, to communities, is when the camera is present. And that is the problem. And not that we cannot do that, but the honest truth is, some of these beneficiaries do not really want to be projected as beggars, because they themselves equally have their own dignity. You must not question somebody, find out where they come from, do all the literature and the interview before you give them something to eat. Let us always remember that God is encouraging us to do things privately, to purify our motives. Let us give because we see another human being in need. Let us pray because we want to be closer, grow closer to God and be connected with Him at all times. Let us fast because we want to purify ourselves, not for some public show or public display. I remember the late Holy Father, Pope Francis. He once said, your act of charity will give more meaning to the beggar when you engage in a dialogue. Find out what the person's name is. Try, see the person, not just the bowl that you have to drop some few coins in it. And so today I encourage you, my dear brothers and sisters, that as we begin our day, let us purify our motives. And let us always remember that the person we are supposed to please is not God, not other human beings. All of us, there are people who have had great titles here on earth, but today nobody remembers them. Maybe we remember them in passing, but then let us always remember that God is always on His throne. God is watching us, and whatever we do, let us always think of God first, not ourselves. The Lord be with you, and may the blessing of Almighty God, the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit come down on you and remain with you forever. Amen.
In anything you do, think of God first. And with God, everything is possible. Well, Philippians chapter 3 verse 13 says, I can do, chapter 4 verse 13, I beg your pardon, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So, like Father has said, let us put God first in anything we're doing today. Thank you so much, Father Jean Lambert Bartamak, for your reflection. And we've been inspired by the very touching, very spiritual oriented message you've given us this morning. And we hope that our day is going to be one step better having listened to this. Thank you so much, Father, and see you tomorrow for the last but one edition of the program. In the meantime, Sister is present here to give us the saint of today. Which saint are we celebrating today? And what can we emulate from their lifestyle? That's what we're going to be discovering in a moment with our Sister Florence Awambeng, who is present in the studio to treat us. So let us have this break. When we come back, we'll have Sister Florence with the saint of the day.
Good morning, dear brothers and sisters. We thank God for the gift of a new day. Today, the 18th of June, we celebrate the feast of St. Gregory Barbarigo, Bishop. Gregory was born of a distinguished Venetian family. Gregory was brilliant and a student who embraced a diplomatic career and accompanied the Venetian ambassador to his tours. He later became a priest and was soon after consecrated a bishop. Not long after, he elevated to the rank of a cardinal and also given authority over the Diocese of Padua. He guided his flock with pastoral wisdom and deep understanding. Through his efforts, the seminaries were enlarged with the addition of a library and a printing press. The seminary was expanded with the addition of a library and a printing press. Gregory Barbarigo, Bishop, is the saint we are celebrating today. He came from a very, very wealthy family. He was brilliant, and then he studied diplomacy in the university. So he had reason to be accompanying the ambassador to his different tours. He later became a priest. Not long after priesthood, they made him bishop. Not long after consecration of bishop, they made him cardinal. One person. And became the bishop of the Diocese of Padua. You see, some people are blessed. Or some people know how to cooperate with God's grace. Let me put it that way. Can you imagine a man who already had the exposure to be accompanying an ambassador in his tours to different countries, and suddenly just turns and abandons that to become a priest? How does that happen? But it has happened in front of us. St. Gregory. That's happened. It's happening. And he abandoned such a juicy job. You know, the privileges that ambassador has, if you know them, if you see the privilege, all the doors will open to you. You are representing your president in a country, and you just leave it. Now you want to go and become a priest. No salary, no pleasures, no wealth. This is what happens when the Holy Spirit grips you. Every of those things become irrelevant. It is only God and his people that comes to your mind. But we have seen situations where people will not answer the call to serve God because of material things. We have seen situations where parents will not even allow their children to answer the call of God because they have big plans for their children. And they forgot that those children are given to them by God. They forget that those big, wealthy materials they have is given to them by God. Once Gregory found God, every other thing became irrelevant, less important. And we see how he progressed. Shortly after priestly ordination, consecration as a bishop, shortly after that, appointment as a cardinal, shortly after that, the bishop of the Diocese of Padua. And he guided his flock with pastoral wisdom and deep understanding. Yeah, he was an exposed person, so he knew a lot about the world. Through his efforts, he enlarged seminaries, opened sophisticated libraries and printing press where seminarians go and gain knowledge, good knowledge. That's how Christians operate. They operate to help people to go closer to God. But our own is only within us. Our world is surrounded only around us. We don't do things that will benefit other people. We only want to be the ones to shine. So, dear brothers and sisters, St. Gregory has set an example for us today. That nothing should hold us back from following God and His will. Nothing. Not wealth, not parents, not family, not friends. Nothing. When we feel God is asking us to do something, let us follow and stop giving excuses, and God will bless us. We wish all those who go by the name Gregory a very happy feast day. God will continue to bless us. Amen.
Thank you so much, Sister Florence Awambeng. There we have another saint with a very extraordinary life. A saint whose grace was very huge, very associated. Indeed, very worth emulating. Saint Gregory, of course, a priest, bishop, and cardinal. And the church celebrates him today with a very, very rich life. Sister has emulated on the different interventions of St. Gregory and concludes that it is worth we emulate such life and become better persons in the society while serving God. Thank you so much, Sister. And we want to extend happy feast day to all those who go by the name Gregory or Grigory. So, if you go by that name, we're extending happy feast day to you. And for us all who don't have Gregory as a name, we are all called to live an exemplary life just like Saint Gregory. Thank you, Sister. Tomorrow we'll definitely be having another edition of the Saint of the Day. Now, dear viewers, if you're just tuning in, this is Salve Vicinus you're watching, and it is beaming live from DMR TV. We are very excited that you're joining us. I mean, if you're joining us for the first time, we say welcome. We're delighted that you're here, and you're definitely going to be having lots of inspiration, education, and entertainment, so much so that you don't want to touch your dial. Just to inform you, in a moment we'll be introducing our talking point, where you get to share with us your own part of our discussion. Share with us where you're watching us from, and we'll definitely be extending special greetings to you. And of course, you can also extend special greetings to your loved ones. Thank you so much. Now, It is time to go to the newsroom and find out what GMR TV has been investigating, treating, and now wants to disseminate. Of course, it's courtesy the news desk of GMR TV. It is our news time, Divine Mercy Infos, and Magdalene Wondo is already present here to treat us to the news. So we take this transitional imperative. When we come back, we treat you to Divine Mercy Infos.
Good morning, dear viewers, and welcome to our Divine Mercy Infos. We begin the news with neighboring Nigeria, where the outbreak of the massacre that happened in Yelewata in the Benue state of Nigeria, involving over 200 people being killed on June 13 and 14, 2025, has been met immediate response from the Holy Father, Pope Francis XIV, and the local church in Nigeria. Details in the following report with Bernard Asomni.
Our who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done.
In the face of untold suffering, violence, and killings, the people of Yelewata Estate, located in Benue, Nigeria, mourns and protests for inhumane acts of killing that has claimed the lives of over 200 people in that state. Witnessing to this terrifying suffering, the people continuously cry out for justice and security. With the voice of the church, which is never silent and which stands today and always as the voice of the voiceless, Pope Leo XIV has offered words of consolation and prayerful wishes of peace and security justice back to the people of Benue State, and has described the incident as a terrible massacre.
Si è verificato un terribile massacro in cui circa 200 persone sono state uccise con estrema crudeltà, la maggior parte delle quali erano sfollati interni, ospitati dalla missione cattolica locale. Prego affinché la sicurezza, la giustizia e la pace prevalgano in Nigeria, paese amato e così colpito da varie forme di violenza. E prego in modo particolare per le comunità cristiane rurali dello Stato di Benue, che incessantemente sono stati vittime della violenza.
Following this prompt response from the Holy Father, the local church of Nigeria, under the leadership of their bishops, headed by the president of the Bishops' Conference of Nigeria, have championed the procession for justice, peace, and security on the people while condemning the acts of killing that tampers on the dignity of the human person.
We therefore appeal to the government to immediately put a stop to this unprecedented wave of violence and brutality aimed particularly at Christians. We also call for the arrest and prosecution of those behind these senseless killings that sow the dangerous seeds of hate and distrust among the various segments of the Nigerian society. We are sad. We are in sorrow and grief. But we are confident that the light of Christ which shines in our hearts will brighten the dark corners of the Nigerian society.
Faced with the crisis period that leaves wounds and deep pains in the hearts of the people, the church continuously stands as a bearer of hope for a better and peaceful Nigeria.
In the name of Jesus, in the name of Jesus, we shall conquer.
The pastoral life of the Diocese of Manfi has once more come under review as the diocesan pastoral team gathered for an evaluation meeting. The session, which held at St. Francis Pastoral Center, brought together priests, chairpersons, secretaries of pastoral councils, formation teams, and finance councils from across the diocese supervised by the Bishop of the Diocese of Manfi, His Lordship Aloysius Abangalu Fondon. Details with Nadeshne Jume.
The gathering was part of the ongoing implementation of the 10 resolutions adopted during the Diocesan Pastoral Week in October 2024. This evaluation meeting served not only as a reminder of those decisions, but also as a platform to assess progress made so far.
Actually, there were 10 of them, and we saw that if we can continue with this kind of evaluation, it will help us to at least remember what we have decided or planned to carry out, and where we are lagging, we will get up from sleep and work and go ahead, and where we are already succeeding, we'll continue to forge ahead.
Chief Shepherd of Manfe Diocese, His Lordship Aloysius Abangalu Fondon, emphasized the significance of having a clear vision.
Planning interim goals are planning the plan gives us any sense of accomplishment even before the final goal is achieved. Already now, for some parishes, we know that we have started this program for RCIA, and we are seeing how it's progressing. If you are sincere with yourself, I think you find in your heart some fulfillment that we are on the right track.
Diocesan Pastoral Director, Reverend Father Robert Ntongwe, gave his appraisal of the diocese pastoral life, pointing out that while progress are being made, many parishes still struggle to fully celebrate the parish pastoral week at the small Christian community and mission stations, and often fail to submit their calendars of activities on time.
Is not actually fair in our deliveries, our parishes, mission station, and SCC. Where the team exists, they seem to be there only in name, with hardly any program of activity.
Reports presented focused on the resolutions of the Pastoral and Economic Week, the functioning of various parish structures, implementation of the rites of Christian initiation of adults, and the status of ongoing parish projects.
Trying to follow up the 3 years program for the doctrine classes against baptism, the RCIA program that was implemented. And we have a good number of children who are taking part in this program. We also have this formation of the parish pastoral formation team. The bit I can say is that so far I think this vision is important because it gives us a mindset that we have something to meet up with.
The session also addressed challenges faced by parishes, but acknowledged that steady improvements are being noticed across the board.
We're trying our best, but the challenges of rural exodus, we're still counting on people to come back home. We're still counting on people to come back home to see how we can push a lot of things ahead. Still encouraging that schools should come back. We should have enough schools because all these programs need a lot of literacy, a lot of the learned class to assist.
With the Bamenda Ecclesiastical Province set to celebrate 25 years of the implementation of its provincial pastoral plan, this evaluation was deemed timely as Manfe Diocese works toward aligning with the vision and spirit of the border ecclesiastical goals.
Introduction to the pastoral plan was the theme of this week's catechetical session at St. Anthony of Padua Parish, Boyer Town. Sitting in for the bishop was Reverend Father Martin J., who expounded on the historical background of the pastoral plan of the ecclesiastical province of Bamenda. Details in the following report with Franklin Fomukong.
So what is the pastoral plan?
Monday, June 16th, another session of the weekly catechesis at St. Anthony of Padua Parish, Boyer Town. Sitting in for the bishop was Reverend Father Martin J. Moka, who taught on the introduction to the pastoral plan.
The pastoral plan is a strategic outline which is meant for guiding the spiritual growth, development, and the ministry of a faith community. And this is typically within a specific time frame.
Father Martin then explored the historical background of the pastoral plan, citing several preparatory sessions held in view of the establishment of the pastoral plan from 1995 to the year 2000.
Citing Ecclesia in Africa, number 106, they actually had to improve on a concrete application of what the Synod Fathers held. Thus, the task of drawing up such a pastoral plan was entrusted to the 7th Catholic Conversion of the Bamenda Ecclesiastical Province. What they did is that they had now representatives from all the dioceses, priests, members of the Institute and Consecrated Life, the ICL, members of the Society and Societies of Apostolic Life, the SAL, and then they had equally, members of the lay faithful, religious men and women. They came from all over the suffragancies, the dioceses, and they actually formed a conversion which was in charge of preparatory work and to carry out this great task. Now the 51 members drawn from all over the diocese of Boya had a commitment to actually carry out a thorough and in-depth study, firstly, of Ecclesia in Africa. The session was held from Wednesday the 17th of March to Sunday the 21st of March 1999. This was a 5 days of rigorous work, and there were 640 delegates coming from within the ecclesiastical province of Bamenda.
Those present for this week's session sought clarifications pertaining to the pastoral plan, to which answers were given. With the introduction of the pastoral plan this week, next week's teaching will also be based on the composition and implementation of the said plan.
Let's now take you to one of our academic institutions, St. Joseph College, Sase, wherein the presbytery accommodating priests serving at the college is undergoing renovations. The project aims at giving a new face to this college, and it's spearheaded by Reverend Father Desmond Dickum, an ex-student of the college, alongside other Sobans. Hilarion Tuko from our newsroom made its stop at the college and points out in the following report that this is the second renovation project by the priest from the Diocese of Dallas is spearheading. His report.
Reverend Father Desmond Dickum Esoban is spearheading this renovation project at St. Joseph College, Sase. In 2024, he led his fellow Sobans to renovate the college chapel. Now in May 2025, Father Dickum is once again at the forefront, working on the renovation of the residential structure for priests serving at his alma mater. A priest from the Diocese of Dallas, he is collaborating with his fellow ex-students, amongst them Russell Adamu, who is in charge of overseeing this project, which aims to completely transform both the exterior and the interior of this building.
The project is carried out by Father Desmond from the United States of America, and it contains renovating the whole building, from the floor to the ceiling to the roof to the zinc to the toilet and everything, changing everything, getting it to a new state. So far we have gone about 40% of the job.
As of June 16, 2025, the roofing has been completed with new zinc sheets replacing the old ones. However, there is still more work for the carpenter, who is tasked with repairing the ceiling and addressing other areas that requires his expertise.
The old zinc, right? We've changed the old zinc already. Until we put new zinc already. So what's left to be done now? We have to put the two leaves. We have to put the two leaves. Then that's for outside.
Originally earmarked for completion in 1 month, the project is now expected to extend to 2 months due to additional detail work that needs to be done.
We estimated for 1 month because we're struggling to do very, very fast, because Father was supposed to be coming anytime soon. But so far we realized that we cannot do it in 1 month. We may have an extension of like 2 extra weeks, so that we're talking about 1.5 months. Hopefully by the 15th of July we'll be done, latest.
The plumber on site is nearing completion of the first phase of his work, which involves installing the necessary pipes in all toilets. This also applies for the electrician.
That's already fitting. Just left to close up. Then the tiler comes now and puts his tires. Already been done. They just need to close up the holes. Yeah.
It is important to note that after completing the chapel renovation in April 2024, Father Desmond Dicom did promise to embark on another fundraising drive among the Soban community and his friends to support the renovation of the residential structure. The ongoing work is a fulfillment of that promise. Gratitude is also due to the bishop for his open support, permitting ex-students to contribute to the growth of their alma mater, St. Joseph's College, Salve.
With topics that seek to fill the gap in the world of business in the nation and beyond, students from the School of Business at the Catholic University Institute of Boya, CUIB, are fine-tuning their final year projects in a pre-defense that is taking place in the Boya campus. Aloysius Likier in the following tells to some students on their work and sought to know how the work will impact a change in the nation. His report.
Students from the School of Business at the Catholic University Institute of Boya, CUIB, are having their pre-defense for their projects in a bid to see the areas covered so far in their work and to make necessary corrections. The students each took turns to present their work in front of a jury, and their supervisors, who keenly listened, evaluated the work and gave directions on what to do in order to make their works complete before the defense proper. These students, after presenting before the jury and their schoolmates, say it went on well, though with few challenges which they will go and implement in their works.
Student of the Catholic University Institute of Boya. I study accounting under the School of Business, level 400. So we are here to do the pre-defense. It's a preparatory defense ahead of the final defense for the final year students of Catholic University. So the defense passed well. It was okay, but it was though challenging because we actually had to understand our difficulties and everything that we were told was necessary for the final defense. So we'll make sure to put in place all those corrections were given by our supervisor and the jury, so we can be able to do our final defense correctly.
We are defending our project. That's the pre-defense before our final defense. Well, it was not bad. It was not that bad. The defense it went smoothly. I did encounter some challenges, especially in my chapter 4, but the jury and my supervisor gave us the necessary corrections which I have to include before my final defense and
Each academic work is channeled towards filling a gap in the society, and these students explained to us the reason for the choice of their topics and how we go a long way to help the society around us.
My topic was assessing the effects of management accounting practices on the performance of Soweto. The topic is in line of what I'm interested in, management accounting. Management accounting practice, I chose it because I wanted to evaluate how management accounting practices are being implemented in Soweto's day-to-day activities and how it boosts their organizational performance.
Well, my topic is the role of fintech innovation in enhancing liquidity management in Cameroonian banks. I chose this topic because liquidity management is very crucial and it's also a problem in Cameroon in general. But since I'm in Boya and I decided to focus in Boya, I've noticed that most banks don't meet up with their daily obligations when it comes to maybe cash flow and liquidity. So that's what I'm trying to emphasize on, that banks should, or financial institutions in general, should be able to include financial technology in their activities to enhance liquidity management.
It should be recalled that the Catholic University Institute of Boya, CUIB, recently signed a specific agreement with the University of Boya on SAH, BSc and BTech courses, all to enhance proper training for all who seek knowledge in the citadel of saints and scholars.
As climate change tightens its grip and land degradation accelerates, Cameroonians joined the global community to commemorate June 17, 2025 as World Day to Combat Desertification and Drought under the theme Restore Our Land, set aside by the United Nations since 1995. This day calls for urgent global action to restore degraded land and secure food, water and livelihoods for billions at risk. Details in the following report. Across Africa, land is more than soil in its identity, security and survival. But today, over 45% of the continent's land is degraded. On World Day to Combat Desertification and Drought, the question is asked, can the land be restored? And if it is being restored, what doors might it open? Desertification is not just an environmental issue, it is a silent emergency which threatens food security, and when the land dries up, so does the harvest, income and hope. Asabalinda of the Regional Delegation of Environment outlines the causes of desertification.
We have the northern region, sometimes part of the Adamawa, actually suffer from this excessive, a lot of overgrazing, especially on a particular piece of land for longer periods of time, actually provokes or could lead to desertification. And so that implies these concepts can either be triggered by human or natural phenomena. The human phenomenons, like we're talking about the overgrazing, we're talking about the deforestation, because those are human actions. And now the natural phenomenons like climate change and global warming.
Desertification and drought affects food security, livelihood and social stability. But in the face of crisis, communities are innovating because it does not just destroy the soil, but it also degrades the human dignity.
Realize that in the north region, there are a lot of projects that have gone out, that are going on. We see that things even like their waste, there are different methods of eco stoves, other methods of fire, instead of firewood, to replace firewood that are used by these people. Now they have things like biochar that are being produced from their waste product. So instead of throwing waste plantain peels and all of those organic, what do? They use it, they burn it to produce what they can use in lighting their fire, instead of going to fell down more tree, because they even need the trees first of all.
Combating desertification can also reduce migration and conflict, but it must start with the individuals.
So those of us who are still here, we should be careful with what we do towards the environment. Environmental protection is the responsibility of each and every one of us. So all of us are called upon to come on board and to see how we can do. Let's be able to transform even the climate constraints into what? Developmental opportunities.
The World Day to Combat Desertification and Drought under the theme Restore the Land was first celebrated in 1995, set aside by the United Nations to promote public awareness and international efforts to combat desertification and drought. Report wraps up our Divine Mercy Infos this morning. More details will be yours at exactly 7 p.m. on Divine Mercy Prime. Thanks for your keen attention. I've been Magdalene Wondo.
Thank you very much, Magdalene Wondo, for treating us to the news. In fact, it was some sweet, bitter moment in the news. We are praying for the Nigerian Christian faithful who were massacred in cold blood by cattle headsmen in the northern part of Nigeria. It's such a pathetic situation, and the church joins its voice to condemn any act of violence that lead to the loss of life or the taking away of life. Please, life is sacrosanct. You cannot create life, so never take one. And of course, we remain committed and prayerful with the Christian faithful of Nigeria, who of course are in a very, very concerning situation. Well, just like Pope Francis has said, we have to multiply our prayers for Nigeria as a whole. And of course, other interesting news constituted our our information segment this day. Thank you so much, Magdalene, with whom I am saying good morning. And how are you doing?
Good morning, Yannick. I'm okay, and you?
Why do I make you smile all the time? I mean, each time before I even introduce you, you're already giggling.
Because I'm a happy girl. It's not
All
about
right.
you. It's about seeing a new day and thanking God.
How was your night?
Restful.
Restful. That's great. That's
And
nice.
yours?
I had a restful night too. We thank God.
Okay.
All right. So, Magdalene, today we are celebrating the International Day to Counter Hate Speech. Hate speech is the use of dangerous language, be it verbal or by signs or symbol. Of course, that promote racism, promote tribal division, and all those other things. And the focus this year is on artificial intelligence.
Okay.
Countering hate speech online is increasingly becoming difficult because we have mobile devices that fall on the in the hands of virtually anybody, and anybody can say anything about it. Our topic of discussion today is how can we counter hate speech online? It's as simple as that. I mean, in your own expression, what do you make of hate speech and the different manifestations of hate speech online? Before we even talk about the different legislations, but the different manifestation of hate speech online, can you share with us on that?
You know, with the advent of AI, you can switch personalities. You can use someone's voice and do something or violate someone else, like maybe
It's called deep fake.
Yes. So I think if we also try to do fact checking, you know, there was a time ago when we had news about the Pope reacting to President Traoré,
Ibrahim Traoré of
yes,
Burkina Faso.
and everyone was triggered. But then senior editor-in-chief June Baku told us it does not align with the way he sees the video going.
Yes,
At
the
least
simulation,
exactly
the
enlighten us
synchronization.
on some fact-checking ideas. When you see a video online, you should be careful with the person's movements to know whether or not that's AI or it's real. So you want to also check very well before you spread, because fake news or bad news is good at being spread. Like
Yes,
you see
of
something,
course.
boom, a lot of persons shared in so many WhatsApp groups, they reposted and all of that. So we want to be careful to do fact checking. I think with the coming of AI, more fact checking websites, webinars, seminars should be organized so that journalists or even individuals can actually fact check whatever they are sharing. Don't be the first to share bad news or propagate hate speech, because it's from there. Everyone was like, how can the Pope react to Traoré? What there was a lot of triggers online, but then those people that are fact checkers went through the videos and debunked the video. It was not the Pope, it was just AI. But most people do not know, because they don't pay attention to what is going. They just want to listen to or they just want to hear the message that is being passed across without paying attention to visuals. So AI too also comes to a lot of problems, but then you should do a lot of fact checking, visuals and the person's movement, even the tone. Maybe sometimes the words are not synchronized and all of that. Yes, so you want to pay attention to that and be careful what you share. You also want to be cognizant of human dignity. There's some things that you see that are derogating to human dignity, and you say, no, I will not be the first to share this. I might instead look for ways to combating this particular issue affecting this group of people, like the albinos are being segregated. No, because they don't have melanin, they are half human beings. All of us are human beings, even persons with special abilities. You see, they say, no, she cannot work like this, she cannot work in an office and all of that. But then they have better abilities than you do.
Exactly.
So you want to pay attention to some people's strengths than their weaknesses.
Right.
So for me, hate speech, AI, fact checking, and you want to pay more attention to people's strengths, even as individuals, because even in our workspaces, we also propagate hate speech. So
exactly.
Let's not just pin it on AI and all of that. What are we also doing at our individual corners to eradicate hate speech?
Right. So I think you have touched it so squarely. And dangerous speech manifests itself in many ways. And in studying fake news and hate speech, we come to know about disinformation. There are persons who actually propagate an information that they know is totally false. But because they are pushing an agenda, they tend to push that information and then garner a crowd. they mobilize a crowd to be able to support their information. You know, it takes 2 to 3 to tango. You see?
That's right.
It takes 2 to tango. So when one person just say, I support what you have said, and then shares, it becomes some kind of a truth that is propagated by this segment, and then it goes a long way to destroy the society. Yes, we saw at some point within the crisis there was this talk about this segment of the tribe, this segment, they should go away, they should come away. These things help to they manifest in the minds of the younger generation, who come up with a fresh ideology that can cause a lot of division. I think that a lot has to be done. A lot has to be done at different segments to be able to avoid hate speech, because it could be good for you, but hate speech has a high multipliers effect that comes back to swallow its initiator, because you could be doing it and thinking that you're just dealing with a segment of people, but it comes and swallow you. We saw what happened in Rwanda in '94. Rwanda is what it is today. Maybe it's progressing, but it suffered quite a lot. And even those who initiated all of those things suffered quite a lot. So we don't need to promote hate speech. I think that you said quite a lot, which I really succumb and subscribe to all of those things. Now let us have a broader broader understanding, a broader concept of hate speech, and get to understand what hate speech is all about and how it manifests. We've put together this short clip for you, and when we come back, we're going to explain further. Let's just have this.
During hate speech. What if we could end hate speech together? On International Day for Countering Hate Speech, we'll show you the power of words and how each of us can help stop the spread. Don't miss the inspiring steps at the end. Theme. Words matter. Building a world of respect and tolerance. On the International Day for Countering Hate Speech, we reflect on the impact of words in shaping our world. Hate speech fosters division, violence, and fear, but by countering it, we can build a society based on respect, dialogue, and tolerance. Embracing these values helps create a unified society where differences are celebrated. Together, we can foster harmony across cultures, religions, and backgrounds, ensuring justice and equality for all. Combating hate speech is crucial for social cohesion. Unchecked, it damages individuals and erodes trust. By standing against hate speech, we promote a world where everyone can live free of discrimination, violence, and hatred. Today is a reminder to reject hate and embrace kindness, respect, and inclusion. Just a quick break. Please, if you like this, consider subscribing to our channel and turn on notification for stories of impact, empowerment, and hope. Meanwhile, in Brazil, Carla, a teacher, began incorporating lessons on tolerance and empathy into her school's curriculum after witnessing the harmful effects of hate speech among her students. I saw how quickly negative stereotypes could spread and how they could influence my students' interactions, Carla explains. By introducing discussions on empathy and conflict resolution, I noticed a profound shift in my students' attitudes. They began to understand the value of diversity and respect, and soon, they were leading initiatives to combat bullying and hate speech in their community. In India, Ahmed, a local journalist, shared his story of how he helped create an online campaign to counter hate speech targeting religious minorities. As a journalist, I've always believed in the power of words, Ahmed says. When I saw the dangerous consequences of hate speech spreading online, I knew I had to take action. I teamed up with other journalists and community leaders to create a social media campaign that highlighted stories of unity, diversity, and acceptance. The response was overwhelming. We reached thousands of people, and many began speaking out against hate. To all who are fighting against hate speech, thank you for your dedication. To the countless individuals, organizations, and activists who are working tirelessly to counter hate speech, we thank you for your unwavering dedication.
Hate speech in the workplace can be manifested in different ways. First of all, I see hate speech as any form of communication, whether it's verbal or indirect or behavioral. that really has a discriminatory element to it, that it's targeting a specific individual or a particular group due to either their race or sexual orientation, age or disability. And so the impact of that can be really profound. And so it can manifest in different ways, I think, through, verbal slurs, social media, written communication via email where something derogatory is communicated to a particular group. It could also manifest behaviorally as well, where a particular individual or a group is excluded from a particular topic. And so it can be really difficult for an individual who is a target of hate speech, because one can imagine that emotions would just be everywhere and overwhelming. So I would sort of say, first of all, is to try and remain calm, as difficult as it can be. Seek support, and we all need an ally. So I think if there's someone close that you could speak to gain the support, if safe, and I think if the individual feels comfortable, also just pointing out that what is happening is not okay, it's not acceptable. So those would be the sort of things I would say for someone who's been targeted. If you happen to be an individual who sees a scenario emerging indirectly, I think we all have a role to not be a passive bystander, but to actually speak up. I would, from a psychological point of view, recommend taking a deep breath, walking away, trying to collect your thoughts and emotions as well, finding a safe space to then figure out, have some thinking time to think about who you can speak to. Maybe for some individuals you might need that time and a few minutes to really just think about and remind yourself of where those supportive resources are, and to really just think about how are you going to document what is happening and seek support. So one of the obvious impact could be the fact that the individual might experience a high level of anxiety, depression. Hate speech can also impact on an individual's self-esteem. And the wider effects can be that you'll end up creating a toxic environment, whether it's in the home or whether you are in the workplace. So the psychological effects can be really profound and impact on an individual's levels of functioning. So it is important that this is something that we all stand up against, this particular issue. And we all know that we have a role and responsibility to create a safe working environment, but also a safe home environment. So none of us should be silent on such an issue, but to know that we all have a role in ensuring that we have less incidences of hate speech.
Thank you very much. So these are very important components we need to digest, talking about hate speech. Remember that activities this year are celebrated on the theme hate speech and AI, how to avoid hate speech online with the advent of AI. And so we are looking at how we can curb, if not completely eradicate, hate speech online with the coming of AI. All right, dear viewers, if you're just tuning in, this is Salve Vicinus you're watching, and we're very excited. We're very delighted that you're watching us this morning. Straight away, we move over to the next slot of the day, and it is our newspaper review. We're asking you this morning that how can we counter hate speech online? How can we counter hate speech online with the coming of AI? I'm sure that word, with the coming of AI. How can we counter hate speech offline with the coming of AI? AI should be part of it. Artificial intelligence. All right. So we're going down to a newspaper review. We have Eileen Sama, who is present here to treat us what the papers are saying. And interesting enough, the papers have been capturing very, very talked about, very eventful moments in the country. And we'll get all of that in a moment with Eileen Sama. So up next is a press review with Eileen Sama.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Many thanks for joining us this morning. And on the kiosk this morning, we want to start with the lone bilingual daily, that is Cameroon Tribune of the state. Well, this morning, Cameroon Tribune is focusing on the presidential election, and we are hearing this morning that young people in the country who fall under the Association of Young Patriots with President Paul Biya, they were granted audience yesterday at the Glass House with the National Assembly Speaker Kavayege Jibri, and they have pledged their support for President Biya ahead of the presidential outcome 2025. Yes, of course, 100 members of l'Association Jeunes Patriotes avec Paul Biya. Yes, this is how they call this group. So you can get the paper and read more. Now, on top of Cameroon Tribune's paper, we hear that there is total vigilance needed for child protection. Yes, of course. The paper goes further to say it is the holiday period already, and in place the increasing rates of child, abuses always skyrocket during this time. Children get into drug addiction, violence among youth, several, evil is being committed during this holiday period. Parents face a lot of challenges, and thus the paper is calling on all to keep the kids safe. Now, read, this is the focus of Cameroon Tribune today, and we'll leave that story. We'll talk about something else still on this edition of Cameroon Tribune. It's talking about the best ICT 2025 project. We hear that 271 candidates already registered for that course. Let's leave that gazette and take on the Guardian Post daily this morning. It talks about Semak, how Semak is sitting on gold mine yet dying of hunger. Beneath that headline, you can read that despite rich subsoils, countries spend 2,000 billion francs CFA yearly on petroleum products importation, while Beaka governor warns situation exposes block to global shocks, drains exchange reserves. So you can read more on that on the Guardian Post. Today's issue. Also, we hear that Athesis defends gospel singer Indira Baboke marvels jury. She grabbed this doctorate just recently, and yes, she's a medical doctor. And EU earmarks 150 billion francs CFA for energy transition in Cameroon, as we hear today, while National Assembly Speaker and the Israeli ambassador discuss strengthening ties, as the Guardian Post unveils. We take on municipal updates. Municipal updates looks at opposition opinions, and we hear why Cameroon's opposition lacks coalition momentum. Page 2 answers this question. So you're urged to read this political piece. With 400 francs, you own the Gazette and get all details. At Crusade in Konye, Mayor mounts podium, preaches peace and unity, as municipal updates discloses for us this morning. Douala Port authorities threatening to auction 2,500 unclaimed containers. You can get that story on page 3 of municipal updates. We also hear this morning that the United Nations reports fresh, farmer grazer clashes in the northwest region. That intriguing one is on page 2, while the Penja Pepper International Festival is slated for June 24 as carried by municipal updates. We will now leave municipal updates, and we will take on the next Gazette this morning. Let's hit on Emergence newspaper. Emergence is telling us this morning that 71 public limited companies are functioning in the country illegally. We'll get to find out which are these enterprises that are public enterprises functioning illegally in the country. Presidential 2025 Camto is bringing in the ONU and France to look into the situation that concerns MRC and the elections in Cameroon. Grab a copy of the paper and you can read more. Contraband fuel, we hear this morning on Emergence that 5,000 liters have been intercepted in Mungo. in Douala. And Mungo and Douala, sorry. You can get the paper and read all the details. GTEC 2025, we hear more that the University of Betwa grab some prizes there, prize of excellence for its innovative works brought forward by the university students over there. Lady Sahel this morning is talking about agriculture and agricultural campaign in the Grand North, or better put, the northern regions of Cameroon in English. The paper is looking at the challenges, yes, the difficulties and the highlights, the powerful points of the agricole campaign over there in the three northern regions of the country. We will now leave that gazette and we will take on the next. We take on L'Info as show this morning, which is talking artificial intelligence, and we are hearing this morning that Cameroon grabs a prize, yes, for leading in Central Africa, or one of the experts are coming from the country. We see the Minister of the Minister of Post and Telecommunication, Minedli Bomlili Keng, there grabbing the prize from UNESCO. Yes, of course, we are doing well in the sector. Now, on Eco Sante this morning, Eco Sante is focusing on the second edition of the African Leadership Prize for the health sector, Prix Africain du Leadership en Santé. And we are hearing that the mayor of the city of Douala, the City Council of Douala, that's Dr. Roger Victor Mbassedine. He has grabbed this award, this honorary prize for leading in health, urban health campaigns and other architectural, proceeds in Douala. Well, we leave that gazette and we're going to now focus on Le Citoyen, which is carrying these very disturbing stories on most newspapers and the media in general in Cameroon. A Cameroonian who was tortured in Yagua by some police officers. And this morning we are hearing that the boss of national security, Martin Barga Ngele, Delegate General, of National Security, has requested for the arrest. Yes, the arrest of those who perpetrated this act on this civilian, the policemen who did this thing. I think about 2 or 3 of them are now being questioned, and there's going to be some judiciary procedures that will follow to punish them for torturing this a Cameroonian who was seen in a video with their legs on his head and other kicks which he received from the police officers. Now we take on Info Sante. Info Sante revisits the Blood Donor Day that was observed in the country on Saturday, and is telling us that the country is celebrating all donors as it seeks to, fill its blood banks which are running dry. The country needs 400,000 pints, but cannot produce up to half of that, as we read on Info Sante. This morning, Cameroon is around the top 11 countries badly hit by malaria, as we hear on Info Sante this morning. You can read more on this edition of the paper. Le Drapeau newspaper is focusing total attention on the Yagua incident, and you can read there that, yes, of course, Martin Barga Gele is not letting this one to slide. He has called for the judicial procedure to move on, so that the culprits of this barbaric or torture should be disciplined accordingly. Okay, that said, we'll take on L'Étudiant newspaper. What interests us on L'Étudiant newspaper is this financial project that has to do with external relations concerning Cameroon's basic sector. We see the Minister of Basic Education there, who is struggling to seal some deals, promote bilateral ties and strengthen bilateral ties with neighboring countries or foreign partners, so we can have more prospects in the basic education sector. Yes, of course, he's chasing treasures for Cameroon education, basic education sector, as Litudian captions there. All right, that said, we will leave that gazette and take on Innovation this morning. Innovation is telling us that 1,040 CPDM militants are leaving the CPDM party in the far north region of Cameroon. What does this mean for the CPDM? If you get a copy of the paper, you're going to read a lot more concerning this political piece. La Voix du Consommateur straight up focuses attention on les embouteillages in big cities. I'm talking about traffic, huge traffic in Douala and Yaoundé that has made, a mobility of cars and persons to be very, very unfluid. It's not moving over there in these big cities of Cameroon. Read more about how transporters, yes, car owners are not respecting the highway code, which is leading to these traffic jams. Well, we are going to take another story still on La Voix du Consommateur, talking about the President of the United States, Donald Trump, who wants to ban Cameroon. Cameroon is amid the countries that will have this travel ban, restricting her from visiting the USA. There are some conditions that will definitely come concerning this law that will soon be enforced by U.S. President Donald Trump. You can read more about that on this edition of the Gazette. We take on African Info. African Info this morning says there is some kind of Pontus Pilatus, reaction happening between President Biya and Chiruma after 30 years of being in the ministry. Is Chiruma trying to betray President Paul Biya, or it is just one of those political tricks that usually occur ahead of elections? Well, you can get the paper and you will read more about what's happening here on Africa Info and why it decides to caption the paper or this story thoughts. Paula Tanganji, the right man at the right place. Well, get and read more on African Info, what they mean by that. Well, let's take on La Nouvelle. La Nouvelle this morning is taking us to the far north region of Cameroon and is telling us that potable water will soon be available for all in the far north region, because there is much progress that is being made, in the sector. Works are ongoing for to accelerate the pace at which the government wants to bring potable water to the people. So a lot is being done in the sector for the far north region. And of course, we take on the next one. Let's take on La Lune. La Lune this morning also focuses on Issa Chiruma, une ingratitude politique. Okay, get to read more about Issa Chiruma and why they are calling him an ingrate, a political ingrate this day on La Lune. You can get all the details this morning. We are going to wrap up right there, ladies and gentlemen. These are just some of the papers we took interest on and some of the stories on these gazettes. We urge you to visit the kiosk, get a copy. It's always important. We'll keep reiterating that so you can get informed and not be deformed. Thank you.
if you're informed, you're transformed. And definitely we hope you've been transformed with these very highly enlightened information given you here, thanks to the papers and courtesy Eileen Summer, with whom I say good morning. Eileen, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Yannick. Good morning. You
Good
look
morning.
very, very African, very
traditional.
Bamensian.
Very
I
very
love it.
grass-filled.
Yes,
It's
yes,
a combination of the West and Northwest.
Very beautiful.
You know,
Mm.
we're celebrating hate speech today, so I decided to go traditional.
Very
So let's talk
important.
about hate speech, never, because it is eating deep in our fabrics, cultural fabrics. There's a lot of cultural divide,
Yeah.
and it's costing this country quite a lot. So we need to celebrate our culture. We need to be one. We say united in diversity. Hate speech is a great divider.
It is.
All right. So let us go straight to the papers. Let's start with Le Drapeau newspaper very quickly.
Okay.
Le Drapeau newspaper is the paper I want us to review very fast here. Kindness, can we have Le Drapeau newspaper on the screen? It's this incident that occurred in Yagua in the far north region.
That's right.
Put us to speed. What actually happened?
Well, this is what happened. This young man was in a bus that was stopped by policemen, and they asked him for his ID card. He tried to resist. I don't know whatever happened, the utterances he had with the police officer who asked him, but suddenly we saw the police officer kicking at him, attacking him, and then it turned
Using
into a
his
fight.
boot?
Using his boot. So the man retaliated, and it
Mhm.
now turned into a fight. Another policeman, we saw another policeman who was not dressed in his uniform intervening, and both policemen now tortured this guy. We observed that one of them carried a leg on his head.
Oh my God.
Yes, he was on the floor and his hands like behind his back, like
Oh
the
my
police
God.
officers always do. So this video has been circulating on the social media or on media platforms, and it's making a lot of news. And we are hearing that Martin Barangele, you know, he's a no-nonsense man.
He is.
He's a no-nonsense man. Whenever anything concerning the police or any of personnel under his
fault,
jurisdiction, he definitely reacts and tries to bring order in the sector. So you can get to imagine the number of Cameroonians who have been tortured by police or military men and has not gotten to the authorities. Luckily enough for this one, somebody in that bus was filming or just around.
I tell you,
filming.
that is highly.
Yes.
I mean, if they even caught the person, it
yes,
would
that
have
person
been
would
terrible.
have exactly.
Yes.
So it stands to this individual that we observed what happened, and now the boss wants these persons to be punished. Yes, they should be sanctioned according to the law. Yes,
That's interesting.
exactly.
Now, I mean, many of these cases happen.
Many.
Let's just indicate that the forces of law and order, the police, they are not military. They are civilians that have been trained on the implementation of law and order.
Right.
And so they have to restrain from any form of violence.
Exactly.
They have to instead use the law.
Thank you.
And there are mechanisms to handle it. But we also have to understand that there is a level with which people can go.
Yeah.
Sometimes, even among ourselves,
Exactly.
people get retaliated and act
Yeah.
abnormally. How can we reconcile between the discharge of the functions of the police and also the respect of human rights? Because sometimes you cannot really reconcile. I have
can't.
traveled in Miselele,
Yeah.
and I see the arrogance sometimes, the way passengers talk to the police.
Yeah.
You know, we have our rights,
Respect.
but we also have our obligations.
Civic responsibility.
Absolutely.
Yes.
How do we reconcile that? Because these men, they stay at the checkpoints for the whole day.
Exactly.
Sometimes they are hit by the sun.
Yeah.
They are hit up by the sun. They are watered by the rains and all of that. And they have their frustration.
So-
How do we reconcile all of this?
To an extent, I would say, Yannick, the police have lost their respect because of what we observe a lot on the streets and on the highway.
malpractices.
Collecting money. This is where they got the disrespect from citizens. I'm not supporting any citizen who disrespects the law because the police is the law.
Absolutely.
I am against that. I will never do that. But it's true, Cameroonians get provoked. Regardless, let's be civil. Let's be very civil. Let's give respect to whom it is due. I believe that if a police officer approaches you and is angry and all, keep your calm.
Keep your calm.
Give that respect.
Once they put on that uniform, they're representing the state.
Exactly.
You don't even touch them with your hand.
Because at the end of the day, if you die in the course of that, imagine that guy had died because he retaliated. If he had kept his calm and cool, they would not have gotten to that extent. If you die in the process, your family loses you, the country continues. The policeman will still be alive. So let's respect each other, Yannick. The policeman should respect the citizen should as well accord that same respect.
I think we need to multiply our training efforts in Mutengene and the different police training schools on how to, because it's about temperament. There are some forces of law and order, they are so temperamental. So how to calm down your temperament and how to be able to dialogue with the civilian, because they are not animals, they are not vandals that you just have to treat them anyhow. In other words, or in the other side, we also need citizens to respect the forces of law and order. They are discharging the functions of the state. So you don't just go around and talk to them because you feel that you have your right, or you have somebody whom you feel you can call and they save you. Respect them. Call them chef, as we always call them. Call them officer.
Once you call them chef, you have melted
their heart. Yes.
There's a way to go about this thing.
Even the Sangalo, you call them chef, they are fine.
Call them chef. Just be calm. Just say nice words.
Say nice words to them. We love the work you're doing. You know.
Just few words. We just keep that person calm.
Absolutely.
That's the trick.
Absolutely. And remember, they are saving you when you are sleeping and snoring. When you are sleeping and snoring, they are in the night trying to ensure that security is kept. And these people, they really go through a lot to save the nation. So we have to respect them. But also, we don't condone with any form of violence. It is not appropriate. All right. Thank you very much, Eileen.
Thank you for having me.
We will always treating us with very savoring moments.
Thank you.
We're going to have you again tomorrow.
Of course.
But today we are talking about hate speech. Just quickly before we leave you, we're talking about hate speech and artificial intelligence. How does it manifest itself and how is it affecting the world?
Well, artificial intelligence, I don't really know how to situate it with hate speech. I don't know if the internet is part of artificial intelligence, if we want to link it like that. But of course, I am aware of what
artificial
intelligence is.
Yes, the use of fake persona,
fake videos, fake pictures of
Didn't you watch the thing they said the Pope was talking to?
I'm saying that how do we relate it to hate speach? Okay, I get
any hate speech is any dangerous speech.
Well, I think that as individuals or Facebook users, social media users, we should be able to differentiate between artificial intelligence pictures and videos and reality. You want to fact check from a personal point of view. Okay, you must not be a journalist or an expert to fact check. There are simple ways you can verify. You can visit other media houses, platforms, the BBC, the CNN, Divine Mercy Radio, verify with them to find out if this thing is true. Okay, and it's not everything you see on the social media you have to react to, because this is where this hate speech comes from. Even if somebody insults you on the social media, just stay away from that and do not share this. Don't click. Before clicking to share, think about the outcome of what you're sharing.
Think before you click.
Yes, think before you click. So we can reduce it by just staying calm, verifying the information before spreading or reacting to some of these things we see on the social media.
Eileen, you've given a very fresh touch to this conversation, and I think that you've done some great justice. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having
me. See you
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Blessed day.
All right. Okay, dear viewers, just as Eileen has said, think before you click. And in that way, we're going to solve a myriad of challenges in the world. We know of the so many incidents that have occurred around the world because people just went about sharing information that became very dangerous. And some of the wars, some of the conflicts we have around the world is caused by just one person's indecision. Decision that is causing the world to be differently impossible. Please think before you click. That's the message Eileen has passed on for us today. Now, if you're just tuning in, this is Salve Vicinus, and we're asking your own opinion. How can we counter hate speech online? How can we counter hate speech online? That's the question we're posing to you. Share with us your thought and opinion, and we'll be glad to read from you and, of course, get to interact here. In the meantime, and away from our newspaper review, we're getting into a sport roundup at this moment. What's making news in the world of sport? We have our sportcaster here, John Philip Wandler, who is ready to tell us what is making news and what we should be informed on in the world of sport. So, if JP is ready, then we go straight away to the news, the sports decks with our sport roundup. It is going to be yours after this transition.
Our TV, good morning, dear viewers of the Good Morning Show. Good morning, Yannick, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. On our sports page, we are just going to dive into the activities that made news in the world of sports this week. So we are going to begin with the MTN Elite One games, the delay match games of day 28 that took place, that saw Gazelle FA versus Panther. That was the game that Gazelle beat Panther 2-1, while Victoria United beat Union a whooping 5-0, and AS Fortuna beat PWD Bamenda 3-1. We are still awaiting the results of the game between Stade Renard de Melon and Bambutus of Buda. That makes us see the classification table there, because I know the other games that played, they already played some days behind. The classification table still keeps Colombe at the top, Coton second, Gazelle third, and then Panther fourth, while Aigle of Menua is 14th, Bambutus 15th, Union Sportif de Douala, and then Yosport at the bottom of the table. That said, we are going to go to the Elite 2 standings. So far, since the last game of play, so far Union Sportif is top, Aigle, Tonnerre Calara Club, Avion FC, Bafmen United, Atlantic Sport, 7th Eding Sport, and then lastly Ngokitunja. That is for the standings for the up playoffs. And then AS FAP, Apages Domfou, Union SA, Fovu Club, Yafoot, Racing, and Ishosha is at the bottom of the table for the clubs for the playoffs down for the Elite 2 Championship. So we are going to see now the calendar for the third day of play that is going to take place today. The matches that are going to take place today for the MTN Elite 2 playoffs. That is for the up playoffs. We are going to have Atlantic Sports Academy versus Avian Academy. This is going to take place at the Bonamisadi Stadium. And then we have Tonnerre Calara Club is going to meet Ngokitunja FC at the Bonamusadi Stadium. We have Aigle Royal de Menwa is going to meet Bafmen United at the Mbappe Lepe Stadium, while Eding Sports of Leke is going to play against Unisport of Onkam at the Mbappe Lepe Stadium. Then for the day 3 down playoffs, that is going to take place tomorrow, the 19th, Thursday the 19th. We have Racing of Bafoussam is going to play against Union Sports of Abongbang, while Apages of Mfu is going to play Fofu of Baham, while AS FAP of Yaoundé is going to play Yaoundé 2. So that makes us dive into the issues that are plaguing the Southwest Regional Football. You know, recently there have been some cries against decisions taken by some referees in the Southwest Regional League, and we noticed that some games during the Southwest Regional League ended prematurely. The game that saw Elexpor FC against Legend FA, and that was the game you are seeing on the screen there. That was the game that was played between Tico United versus Boya City FC. You know, most of these games ended prematurely. So according to the fixtures that were already put up by the Southwest Football Federation, that is the Southwest Regional Football Federation, these games have to see who is going to play the winner that is today, Wednesday, there's supposed to be a game that is going to see who is going to play the winner of match day 1, who has to meet with the winner of match day 3, while the winner of match day 2 is supposed to meet the winner of match day 4. That is for the semi-finals games that have been scheduled for today, the 18th. And on Saturday, the 21st of June, we have to see the winner of match day 2 to play the winner of match day 4, while the winner of match day 1 is supposed to play the winner of match day 3. So that is how it's supposed to be on Saturday, the 21st of June. While on Wednesday, we are expecting the finalists to play at the Moliko Omnisport Stadium. That's on the 25th. So we are hoping that the homologation committee of FECAFOOT is going to see into those issues that were happening during the field of play for those matches that ended prematurely, so that we see who is going to be paired to play the teams that have qualified. Already Kumba City FC has qualified and Fako United has qualified. So we are going to see the 2 teams that are going to join them at the semi-finals and who are going to meet up in the finals. So we will go now to one of the controversial issues that are plaguing our football administration, football refereeing during this week in the Southwest region. We have this referee, this man, Danga Mundi. This referee, he's been seen as a man on a mission, as he has referred about 5 games in 6 days all over the region, and these games are really important games because, like a game between Ishosha vs Unique Sport that ended in a sham. Most of the games he has referred. You notice these games are there is either a penalty or he has issued a red card, like the issue that happened between Avion and Bafmen, where the coach and the goalkeeper were issued red cards. That is at the Elite 2 up playoffs, and then also at the Elite 2 down playoffs, the game between Ishosha and Sportif and Union Sportif Dabongbang. And then at the Elite 1 games where AS Fortuna was playing against PWG of Bamenda, and AS Fortuna was given 2 penalties, and one of the goals of PWG was rejected. So this referee, there's a lot of controversial issues about him, and fans and football lovers of the nation are not really satisfied, especially those of the Anglophone regions of the country are not really satisfied with the way FECAFOOT is choosing or making choices for referees who are coming to take games within the Southwest region. So that said and done, we are going to go to the 21st edition of the cycling tour in Cameroon, the international cycling tour in Cameroon, which rounded up on Sunday. We didn't mention that on Monday, but the Algerian Islam Mansouri is the winner of the yellow jersey. He overtook the Cameroonians because he came up with his new time of 24 hours, 24 minutes and 39 seconds. He was the winner of the 9th lap, while the winner of the 10th lap, which was the last lap that ran from Kulmekong, that is the 108 kilometers race that runs from Kulmekong to Yaoundé, that last lap was won by the German cyclist Lukas Katzen. But the winner, the overall winner, who has the overall best time that has taken place for this 10th lap of the Cameroon International Cycling Tour is Mansouri Islam of Algerian origin. We will go to another activity that took place. Andre Onana, a Cameroonian keeper, was in Burkina Faso for some activities of Bertrand Traoré, a friend of his who plays for Ajax Amsterdam. But he had an opportunity to meet the president of Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traoré, where they exchanged pleasantries there. So there he was at he met with the president of Burkina Faso, but he was there to attend activities of Bertrand Traoré Foundation. Okay, that said and done, Yannick, we are going to go to the FIFA Club World Cup games that took place yesterday. And the FIFA Club World Cup games that took place yesterday, we have Jimenez that played against Dortmund. There was a 0-0 tie on that game, while River Plate played against Urawa Reds, and River Plate beat Urawa Reds 3-1, while Mamelodi Sundowns beat Ulsan 1-0, and Monterrey had a 1-1 tie with Inter Milan. The games that have been scheduled to play today is Man City versus Wydad AC. That is going to take place today. Real Madrid versus Al Hilal is going to take place today, while Pucha is going to play versus RB Leipzig. So, Yannick, this is what we put together today on our sports package.
All right, thank you very much, John Philip Wandler, for putting together the sports package for us. Quite rich, from our local leagues to the international phase. It's all about sports from all diversity: football, handball, volleyball, cycling, and the rest. We've touched them all. Yeah, very quickly before we move over to something else, JP, let's talk about what is actually happening with our local football. You started talking about it, but I think that it's a cause for concern that the Southwest Mini Interpol was plagued with lots of irregularities, and many of the matches ended halfway. What's actually happening?
Well, from the activities or from the games that we saw and watched in the region, we noticed that it was an issue of referees. The referees poor referring. Like there was also a game where during the first half, I think that was the game between Ishosha versus Union Sportif, USA Union Sportif d'Abomba.
Where they had a 1-0 tie.
Yes, it was a 1-0.
Ishosha was winning 1-0.
1-0, yes.
Controversial penalty given.
And you know that thing happened only after the second half, and referees were seen making phone calls
that's
somewhere.
An allegation.
That was really.
Let's not. That's an allegation.
Yeah.
That somebody made a phone call and things changed.
And referees were exchanging the phone. He would talk, give the phone, and then when they came back to the field for second half, they didn't understand the referees anymore.
My God.
Same thing with the game between
Tico United and El Expo.
I think they know Tico United too and
Boya City.
Boya City. Same thing. Well, I can't understand what really happened.
Bafmen United also
had an issue where it was their goalkeeper and the coach who were issued red cards by this same referee.
And then you talked about one referee arbitrating how many matches? 5 matches in a row.
5 important matches of the nation.
Superman.
Yes, but that is not really that. Doesn't give the impression that it gives the impression that maybe we don't have referees in the region, especially bringing a referee from the central region to come and handle a match in the southwest region. It doesn't speak well. So
no, but I think that it's also to avoid this meddling, this
but see the consequences.
It's unfortunate that such a thing is happening. It can only happen in Cameroon. That is made in Cameroon football for you. At the time when we are progressing, things like this help us to retrogress.
So and you know already some people have already stipulated that these Elite 2 playoffs that are going on, the teams that have been pushed have already been known. Like they say, Union Sportive of Abomban is one and Aigle the main one. So we should not be hoping on people like Bafmen United, and so on. So that's what's happening.
That's unfortunate. And Bafmen is really doing well in the league. I really love their playing style. I watched them briefly. All right, so JP, we're definitely going to be hearing more on Friday.
Thank you very much.
And then also to indicate that we have more sport analysis program on Saturday. You get to catch up with sports banquet and get more insight on these stories. Jeppe, we'll see you on Friday. But before you leave, we're talking about hate speech today and how we can counter hate speech online, especially with the coming of artificial intelligence.
Okay, what I can add my voice in is we should use our consciences when we are using the social media. We should try as much as possible not to be offensive. Sieve your language properly before disseminating to the public. Yeah?
That's correct.
Thank you very
Think
much.
before you click.
Yes.
I think you've really touched it so well. Thank you so much, JP.
Yes,
and we'll be together again on Friday.
Thank you very much.
All right. So, dear viewers, that was John Philip Warner treating us to our sports page. We want to thank him so much for putting together this rich package for us. In the meantime, and straight away, we're going to the news department again. We want to serve what is making news in the news department. Courtesy Kenjaman. So we're going to be treating you to the PG News, and we have all of those human interest stories that we always give you, thanks to Kenjaman right about now. So without much ado, I think we're going to take this transitional imperative. When we come back, we treat you to our PG News.
Special salute for any man where it takes stop by just now for us idea as una take hear am from staffman Yannick Funky. Na the moment for we for serve una tori for pidgin language, that's pidgin news with Kenjaman. And as una take no ram every Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays for inside Salve Vicinus. Kenjaman idea for langua una tori for pidgin language. Straight away, coach put them send story for this sharp money time na equally countryman Mr. Mukete Christopher for that side for inside Muluwe for Limbe side which Mr. Christopher talk for his sense story coach put them say it is so man way it the hairy e no get for Henry. Man wey e the Henry, e no get for the Henry. Una interpret am for our own way how una understand that sense story contribute them. Straight away we dey start with tori for this sharp money time and na for with the land just now contribute them. Na for inside United States of America where we dey take bring una tori for this sharp money time. Wetin happen una dey see am for tele so contribute them na the chief shepherd the head boy for that of Boya, his lordship Michael Bibi, wey just now e dey for Sarah country for wetin for go waka the father dem wey dey dey for inside Sarah country wey na father dem that's of Boya. Of course na pastoral visit wey e go for go carry out contribute them, and during this pastoral visit Papa Bishop himself could be the main celebrant for the ceremonial for the investiture for Monsignor John Chamda, wey na one of the Monsignor them, they be appoint them for inside that of Boya. Members say the other one them, they be don't invest them, and this time around it could be na the turn for Monsignor John Chamda during this Bobo Waka wey Papa Bishop, he go make am for America side they contribute them. For 2 p.m. una go hear more, una go take sabi more. We leave that chapter Okuma America straight away. We carry una enter for that side for Roma country. Where to take pass na matter for update. We bring up una for the pilgrims them where they be coming for inside the Archdiocese of Bamenda and they be go make holy waka for that side for inside Roma country. Sabi say within the week we be the update una how their waka be dey go. They be enter for Roma country, they be meet up papa for Roma, they be talk with you one on one, they be come up for day, they be go for France, they be go for Portugal, of course for Holy Waka where be the continue. And today we bring up una their Holy Waka, their pilgrimage, where don't end for that side for Roma country, Kochipurem. They be end am with ceremony for Holy Mass, where na His Grace Archbishop Andrew Nkeya, EBB, the main celebrant for the tomb of St. Peter, that's the burial ground for inside where it dey for Roma country. Sabi say, of course, during the ceremony, they be equally put the Cameroon flag for altar, and they be prayer throne for we country Cameroon as it takes am so. Remember say this same tomb of St. Peter na the places where pilgrims them from the Daso Boya where they be go Roma country for Holy Waka for May moon 2024. Of course now we say too they be end their ceremony for Holy Waka like the pilgrims them from Bamenda Archdiocese. For 2 p.m. too you could hear more which is some of the pilgrims them, some of the Christian them. Say Papa Archbishop which he be chakaram during the homily as he be thank all man we come out for the from the Archdiocese of Bamenda for go make this Holy Waka for Roma countryside day. For 2 p.m. you will hear more, you will sabi more. We take a look at that chapter straight away. We already enter just now for inside Manfred Diocese, which it take pass. Last year for October moon, the Diocese of Manfred it be organized pastoral and economic week, where it happen every year for dioceses. So now way after that pastoral and economic week, where father them, of course, religious, parish priests them, lay faithfuls, chairpersons, they be gather for St. Francis Xavier Pastoral Center during that pastoral and economic week. And during that time, they be equally bring out some resolutions them. They be take some strong point them where they be say they go for implement them for inside the diocese. So they be gather back for kick evaluate them. How far they don't go with the implementation for which way they be agree am, which way they be talk am during the past pastoral and economic week where we take part of Manfred Diocese. For 2 p.m. you could hear more too, you could sabi more as we take care una so. We come on leave that chapter just now. We saw we enter with that's so much fire for next story and now for inside matter for Benue State. Yes, Benue State for Nigeria side they coach put them. Now one of the state for Nigeria as we talk for now just now. It bad. It be bloody. Plenty Nigerian them they don't die for Benue State for Nigeria side. For Sikaweti, peaceful work away be start for strike. It come up for strike. Hausa men them, they enter for inside. Harassment them. They enter for the Parava, coach put them. Sute the peaceful strike. It can be a violent strike action. You see, I'm so the bishop for Benue State. He says, if you go waka the place as when they take Siam so. Where they not only keep population, they burn down houses them, burn the people them as it be so sad and terrible for that side for Benue State, coach put them for Nigeria side day. The bishop of Benue State, he reach for day, which he talk, when I hear for 2 p.m. Which actually happen for the harassment them, where they come out, come attack for inside some village for Benue State side day. When I say when I hear more as we come and bring through, they don't come. They men them, they already do wonderful foolish men, keep with them suite bon places them as when they take Siam for tele so contribute them. It be so sad for this situation. For 2 p.m. when I will actually hear more, when I could sabi more for that side for the killings, the attack, the bloodshed for Benue State, for Nigeria. We jump to river this morning time, coach put them. Now for Parava Ndamba. I remember say before I enter for here, they will talk about Ndamba. So Ndamba too they enter today for Pigeon News. When they say I'm so coach put them, Parava Southwest Mini interpose. It no be easy. Ndamba e can be na bloody ndamba. E no be easy o. Abiche give some man red card for inside field. That red card e can be na bloody attack. As una fit take see am for tele so. Fans dem, supporter dem, dey enter for field for take whole Abiche knack am as una dey see am for tele so kochipo dem. This ndamba e be na ndamba between who and who dem as e dey take happen so kochipo dem. Equally for the Southwest mini interpose wey e dey ongoing, this one wey dey catch Abiche knack am e be equally be na Tico United versus Boya City. Tico United FC and Boya City FC for quarter final ndamba wey e dey happen for mini interpose. After Abiche e give yellow cards for one player for Tico United, fans dey enter field. E no be easy o. E bad sute na Ikelebe dey go for enter for the parava. Na for side the ndamba be dey happen. Na for 2 p.m. we go bring a funa. How the match it last pass or it last end, we na go hear about 2 p.m. How the arbitrary is successfully go house, we na go hear am. Kamambo dey come dey how the situation be, we na go hear am. Plenty thing them, we na go hear am for that parava mini interpose wey be dey for quarter final. Tico United FC versus Boya City FC wey ndamba can result into bloody ndamba. Ndombolo be comot for inside field. For 2 p.m. you go hear more for that parava as e take pass. Na for here we take siam, na for here we take leave am for the morning time. For 2 p.m. plenty other tori dey never sound am for the morning time. We na go just hear am for 2 p.m. And for the one wey don sound am for the morning time, we na go hear am more in greater details. That's all for 2 p.m. for tori hour for inside Divine Mercy Radio Television. All right. Now that's over 2 p.m. contribute them.
Thank you very much, Kenjo Man, for giving us very interesting pieces. It's always that moment that adds some color. Some beautiful moments here on DMR TV with our PG News. Kenjo Man, good morning. Come good.
Good morning. I used to call I say Dr. Ndele.
Thank you, Kenjo Man.
And then you put small PH at the corner.
Interesting. I want to talk something very, very quick before we go. Yes, assuming you don't go, me must talk up. The thing for hate speech. The thing for hate speech. If the world replace it cause plenty problem outside. I beg tell we how we feel fight, how we feel make and say me hate speech. I don't know how they call hate speech for people.
All right. I remember say the plava they so the plava or my talk say the bilingualism commission for Cameroon for which you are Nura. According to the National Gazette. It come as a result of hate speech. Yes. Bilingualism commission for Siam said that I hate speech make it stop. So for me now, what I think if we stop the hate speech, the parava, first of all, wait to be hate speech for contribute them with the no. Hate speech for summarize have all for understand na kosh. Yes. If you kosh man na hate speech. If you call some man so kind name way you know one time na hate speech. So now how if you stop am? The only thing I say na for show ndoro, na for show love for any man way you meet up am for your before, for your mindoro, for your back. Now the only way that if we stop this palava hate speech where the Hamburg place, it destroy the communities for inside we country Cameroon. So if we only apply na love ndoro for any man where you meet up am. Because hate speech come na palava cause palava which only if you just salute some man na hate speech. So for me we go over apply na love for any man who will come across am for we mindoro. The first thing that before any other one if you follow how if you fight the hate speech.
That's true.
Yeah.
A correct talk that you don't talk am. You don't see the artificial intelligence. You know, Papa for Roma, they don't suffer this thing. So they talk say they talk for Ibrahim Traore when I lie. And that kind of thing. That artificial AI, they now say the word for hate speech. maybe people they use AI very well. Not be so.
Mhm.
Yes, we use AI for solve problem, not for the create plenty of other problem them. All right, thank you very much, Kenjaman. All right, we have this contribution here. The hate existing between some northwest and southwest, online brings forth a lot of hate speech. If they could understand that they are brothers and we remain one, it might help. It's coming from Boris, writing for Moliko. Thank you very much, Boris, for your contributions. And dear viewers, it is here that we're going to be putting a cap on today's edition of the program Salve, Vicinus. We want to thank you immensely for watching us and having lived this moment with us since 7 a.m. We've been together. We've shared with you the light of hope using our inspirational information, education, and entertainment. Tomorrow, Thursday, will be another day. We'll be together and continue sharing, and spreading God's words, sharing the light of hope. My name is Yannick Funky, and I was joined technically by Nguan Kaines, together with Ashu James, who's been very, very active since morning to ensure that everything in the studio is very, very okay. We'll be together again tomorrow, like I said, but remember, you can only build a very beautiful place if you make some other person around you better. So learn to live a life of empathy and not sympathy. See you tomorrow.